So you got to understand it all started with Yvette asking one of the most dangerous questions that you can ask someone. Like, this conversation like rocks me to the core to this day. Before I even started this, I was staying home dad, chilling, making, Pop-Tarts and killing the game. You know what I'm saying? Cheerios and all the things and play fighting and all that stuff. And she goes, babe, what's your 5-year plan? Right? And we were laying in the bed and I was like, I don't know, whatever God has for me, And then she goes, I trust you with my family and my future, and you don't have 5 years planned out? Ooh. And then rolled over and went to sleep. Ooh. She went to sleep, and I just sat there, just kind of looking at the ceiling. Popcorn ceiling, it looked messy. You know what I'm saying? You be making like animals out of it, daydreaming and stuff like that. And I was like, I literally don't have 5 years planned out. How do I expect a woman to follow me, a family to follow me, people to follow me, and I don't even have direction in where I'm going?
As a wife, mother, and a woman at that time, because that was shake me to the core too. I'm gonna be real with you, Glenn. But like, what made you ask that question? You're like, why are you thinking about a 5-year plan?
I mean, I'm me, Anthony. I'm an Enneagram 3. Like I like to have a plan. My whole life was planned out from the very beginning, from childhood to adulthood. I knew I was going to be a math teacher who also did this, that, and the other, and I crushed my goals. And so it's interesting because like up to that point, like I had worked my plan and everything was like it was supposed to be. But then I was watching him and I'm just like, what's your plan? Because at the time he was also doing music. So Glenn is I would say retired rapper, but I still rhyme. He still rhymes. Yeah. And so at the time he was doing that and he was making YouTube videos, and it was just kind of like, where are we going with this? Like, what's going to come of this? Because eventually, like, to be honest with you, I was getting a little bit jealous of the fact that he was home with our kids and I wanted to be home with our kids. And so it was like, how are we going to work that out type situation? Yeah. And so
now.
But now he's flipped his script on me and he's asking me the question. And I'm like,
what is your plan? What are you doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what are your goals? Because I got a plan. You know what I mean? Like,
so it's like you protected your vision. You went after that vision. But can you talk to someone right now? How do they know when is the right time to protect their vision and to just give up on that vision? Because there's a lot of people who should give up on some of their goals because they're just not profitable. But then there are some who need to fight for it, like what you did, and it could really become something. How do you decide between the two?
Man, that's a really, really deep question because I know people who I'm still like, yo, you gotta stop. Like, you gotta stop. This has to end.
Yeah.
And I'm the person in their life that they're like, nah, God told me to not pay attention to you. And I'm like, but God told me to tell you that you trash, right?
Gosh, trash?
At this thing, you're really not good at it.
Okay.
Right? And
okay.
You know what I'm saying? You might have a couple people you're supposed to hit with it, but this ain't what you're supposed to put all your time into.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really personal conversation that I can't give a blanket answer to. Now, there's an amount of fruit to be measured. You know what I mean? So what you want to do is you got to have some people in your life who can have really honest conversations with you and that can tell you the truth about yourself. This is not the person who wants to be on American Idol and their mom tells them they're the best singer in the world. You know what I'm saying? And then they go on TV and they're kind of like, no, buddy, you are not the one, So I think having real friends to be like, I don't see where this is going, right? There is an unfair advantage that I have, okay? One, I already know music and storytelling, right? So I was already good at that. So that was my background. And I already knew how to present myself on camera because of stage. So the one thing I didn't know how to do was edit. So I had to learn a lot about editing, you know what I mean? But I put a lot of time in. Mind you, I made my first video in June. the channel didn't start until October. So I spent the summer working and making different videos and episodes that haven't even come out and people have never seen that I was just getting feedback on. I had a friend who worked in television. And I was like, hey, what do you think about this? What part is boring? Where do you see this? You know, I had people who were like, hey, like the audio's bad here. You got to figure out what to do with your audio. And then there's another thing was kind of like, I really don't have anything else to lose. Right. So I'm starting from the bottom. So my dream didn't jeopardize her life. Right. It didn't jeopardize. It wasn't like I quit my job and was like, I'm going to do this. And people were really dependent on my income. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally was chilling. And I was like, I need to figure out how to amplify this. And so there was a lot I was very considerate about. So with all those things in the equation, it was easy for me to just say, okay, I'm going to start now. You know what I mean? And we're just going to see what happens. And I had really visible goals. So my first goal was, all right, before I start the channel, I want to hit 1,000 subscribers, right? And I had like 900 before I started the channel because I premiered it on P4CM and I was pushing it on Instagram. Like a lot of people were like, oh, I can't wait for this thing to start. Then it was like, okay, by the new year, I want to hit 5,000 subscribers. And then by the new year, I think I was at like 4,200. You know what I mean? So I kept having these goals. And the whole goal was, right, she asked me for a 5-year plan. I didn't know my 5-year plan. I sat down with a buddy. He said, what's your 5-year plan? I said, I don't know. He said, what's your 10-year plan? He said, I don't know. I said, I don't know. He said, 15-year. I said, well, I know by the time I'm 45, I don't want to be rapping. You know, in Minnesota, like talking about put your hands up to like 10 people. I'm not trying to do that. So he's like, what are you trying to do? I said, I want to be telling people how great it is to be a father. So he said, okay, well, how often do you have to post on these platforms to grow to this amount of money? He said, how much money do you want to make? I said, I want to make $300,000 a year. That's how much I want to make off of speaking and telling people and writing books. He said, okay. Well, we did all the math and we said, okay, you know, 2 times a day on Twitter, once a day on Instagram, once a week on YouTube, you know, and we did it all like that. He was like, okay, well, in 15 years, you should be able to do this. Now, my plan was for 15 years, not 5. 2 years later, I hit all those goals.
Yeah.
Not the money goals.
I just got goosebumps.
Not. I wasn't making $300,000 a year in 2 years, but like all those other goals, like I did a TED Talk, I wrote a book, I was speaking all across the country, like it just happened like that because I had a plan.